Good morning, good afternoon, and God bless you guys. My name is Ryder Rivera, and today I want to talk about the creative process. And in extension, today I want to talk about the additive and subtractive process that we can go through when it comes to creating anything. We're just going to dive into it today. I want to tackle these two kinds of tools that we can use when it comes to creating things. When I'm talking about creating things, I mean when it comes down to drawing, when it comes down to painting, when it comes down to coloring, when it comes down to graphic designing, music, skateboarding, building something, anything that involves creation. This is more so what I want this entire series to be about. So today I'm going to be talking about the additive and the subtractive process. So first and foremost, what even am I talking about? Well, how I sort of understand what we can possibly do when it comes down to creating something, creating an idea, even writing, for instance. When we have an idea that we come up with, say we start off with this blank idea right in the middle of a canvas. As soon as we start with that root idea, starting right there, we can then add to it or we can subtract to it. Imagine adding to it. Let's use painting as an example because I think that'll be like the most universally easy thing to understand. Imagine we start with just a dot on the piece of paper. That's something that we added, matter of fact. But starting from there, we can add or subtract, as I was talking about. And let's start with adding. We can start with adding textures. We can start adding paint. We can start adding photographs, like a collage type of deal. We can start adding and mixing colors and really just throwing things at it, adding in a sense. Additive. It's the additive process in the process of creation. The other solution and option that we have whenever we're creating is subtracting, the subtractive method. And what that involves is as soon as we start with that little black dot and say we add yellow, we add blue, we add purple, we add those pictures I'm talking about, maybe a little bit of writing, maybe different patterns or textures or anything else on top of that. Next, you can add subtraction to it. You can start taking away. Maybe a little bit of the mixing process is a little bit of a subtractive process as well. Maybe from a combined color, a mixed color, you can subtract from the color that's already there by adding something else, or vice versa. There's a little bit of a combination when it comes to mixing colors, so that's up to you to interpret. But as far as subtracting is concerned, we can erase, we can get rid of those colors, we can wash it out, we can, if we're graphic designing, we can turn the opacity down, we can change the texture, we can make it less than what it is. And sometimes when you're creating things, adding less of something or taking something away is exactly what is needed to bring about the best idea moving forward. I want to move on to some times in the past, and I've mentioned this in the last video that I made, which is as I'm making music sometimes, there will be times where I become a little bit stuck in a project. And something that I've done in the past, and even more recently, is reverting more so to that subtractive process, breaking it down, breaking the music down. So what I'll do is I'll take my project, I'll create a new save file, just in case, because for whatever reason, it breaks my heart whenever I move on, when I add or subtract from something. So I make a new file just in case, for whatever reason, I want to come back. I've never gone back in the, like 3 to 4 years I've been making music. I don't go back. But it's comfortable for me to be like, I'm gonna save that. For drawing, maybe I can always start again. I could always give the drawing another shot. We could always just do the same thing again. Follow in our footsteps from the previous attempt. So what I would do, I would create this extra project. Now I'm using it as my main project, and I will tear it down. I'll destroy the project. I'll rip out some drums. I'll change out some sounds. I'll change the reverb or the delay so that it affects the song in a different manner. In a way, something that was already built up to what it was, I became so married to that concept or that idea that the only way moving forward was for me to subtract from the idea, to subtract from the process of creation. It's like I've added, but at this point it's kind of just like choking the idea. Sorry, my bad. It's literally choking the idea. It's literally got a stranglehold on it. But hold up, let me save the project. Let me break this down. Because right now I have a whole idea right now, but it's not a whole idea that I want to share with the world. It's not a whole idea that I want to use. It's not a whole idea that I feel finished with. So let me just break this thing up a little bit more. Let me take away, let me take away, let me take away, let me take away. Now I got some space to add some more things now. So I want to bring this to your attention because I think we're always so focused when it comes to creating things on the addition of things. I'm going to stick to music because that's what I know best as far as creating things. Adding vocals, adding drums, adding synths or effects or post-processing, whatever it might be. Always adding more. But if you've noticed after making things for a little while, you notice that sometimes it's unnecessary to add as much as we do. Have you ever gone into a project of whatever field or whatever medium that you use to create things, but you feel like you've added just too much stuff? It feels like the idea just is being choked almost. It feels like overbearing. And you noticed maybe when you started, you weren't adding enough. Maybe into your intermediate level, you're adding too much. And the advanced level is right in the middle where you can figure out exactly what is necessary to do whatever the goal is that you want to do with your music. Whether that be to capture a specific feeling, or you're trying to target a specific audience, or you're trying to execute upon something that you want to be a little bit more experimental. Whatever it might be, that advanced level that you're searching for, maybe that next level, is a level of dialing it back a little bit with the incentive to making it across the finish line with whatever you want to do with that with that song, with that drawing, with that video, with that movie, that short film, with that book, whatever it might be. I mean, I wonder if you have any idea what this might be, but I feel like maybe drawing might be such a great not drawing, writing books. Writing books to me seems like the perfect example of really condensing things. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes if I open a book and there's too much fluff, I'm over it. Even when I write some things myself, when it comes to writing down lyrics and such, after coming back to it after a little while, it's like some of it's fluff, some of it needs to go, you know? So I could only imagine what the rough drafts look of like a gigantic book or even a series like a Harry Potter or something like that, you know? How much content got cut out from that? How big was the book? Or how big was the series? Was it this big and it got cut down to this much? I mean, you've heard the stories, if you're a musician, you've heard the stories about so many different kinds of musicians that have hundreds or maybe even thousands of songs in a vault. Now, granted, that's not something that we should be intimidated by. Some of these people, not all of them, some of these people have been working for such a long time. It's such a natural knack for them at this point. And there's also people out there across all mediums of creation that they'll have full-on teams of just experts and professionals and the greatest people you could possibly imagine in a room coming up with and working on these ideas, you know? So it's almost like a multiplication of creation, you know? So don't be intimidated by like the number or the quantity that some people are able to output, you know? As long as you stay on your journey, you're going to make it further. And maybe one day you're going to be such an expert at it that you're going to forget about anything to do with the quantity till you end up looking back and just being like, damn, that's a lot of music, you know? So the additive and subtractive process. Sometimes you need to add things, sometimes you need to subtract things. As you move closer into a more advanced state of mind creatively, you're going to decide whether some things need to be added, some things need to be subtracted. Some voices need to be heard, some voices need to be dialed back, some effects, some colors, some textures, some feelings, some people even. you do what you need to do to execute upon the goal that you're trying to reach. Not every single thing that's being made, first off, needs to have a goal in mind, because honestly, sometimes making things, no matter the medium, is fun when you're just doing it. The act of it is just fun. However, when you're executing upon something that's a little bit more conceptual or thematic, or has any sort of goals in mind, there's two ways of executing. There's adding things, and there's subtracting things. There's adding things, there's subtracting things. You can only do one of two things at any given moment. Any single time you make a change inside of whatever creation that you're partaking in can only be an additive moment or a subtractive moment. Not to belittle their effects, because the thing is, when combined, you can do some damage. You can do some real damage. And I'm not talking about the bad kind of damage. I'm talking about good damage. Damage as in really putting that work in, really going after that song, or really going after that book that you're trying to write, really going after that color that you've been trying to mix together for a minute, looking like you're Picasso. You can do damage mixing these two things together, adding and subtracting. I want to keep this video very short and very brief, but I really want to use these videos as a way of enhancing your creative mind. Not really as an agreement or a disagreement point, but does this help you in your creative endeavors? And if you did find it helpful, go watch some of the other ones that I've posted in the past, and as well as the ones that are coming up in the future. So subscribe if you're really interested in this kinds of stuff, and let me know how you feel about this. This is the second episode in the creative process, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful, wonderful, and blessed day. Have a good one. I'll see you.